value. We all know in this room, there's only one way you succeed long term. Anybody can get lucky, do something for a period of time, but real success in any measure whatsoever comes when you do more for others than anybody else. There's no other way to do it. You find a way to add more what? Value. And if we find the way to add more value, we can be superior in the marketplace, but we can also be superior in our own lives. We can enjoy our lives at a different level. We can have a different set of pride that isn't fake. It's not ego. Ego is when you try to make it better than it is, and you know the truth is it's not. But when you really are in a position, when you're in a position where you own what you're about, and you know what you're here to deliver, and you deliver it on a significant scale, then you have an opportunity to really experience not only success, but fulfillment. And this conference has gotten bigger and bigger, not only in its size, but also in its impact. And so I'm really privileged to be back with you here. And I know you're working to raise 1 million meals, and I'm very, very into hunger, to say the least, primarily because I was so hungry at a stage of my life. And my life was completely changed because when I was 11 years old, we had no money and no food, and we'd gotten used to that, but it was Thanksgiving, which makes it more emotional. And my parents were saying and doing things that after you say them, you can never take them back. And it was very profoundly painful, obviously, for myself as the oldest and trying to keep my brothers and sisters from hearing it. But it profoundly changed me because that day something changed my life, and it was somebody simply coming and delivering food. And it wasn't the person, wasn't giving it, it was a delivery guy. And it wasn't a happy moment for my father. It was interesting. My mom and dad are yelling at each other. My mom's saying things to my father, you haven't taken care of us. Pretty painful moment. And the door happens, and I go to open the door, and there's this tall guy standing there with these big bags of food, and on the ground beside him he had this pan with uncooked turkey. And he said, is your father here? And I said, just one moment. And I sprinted to get my dad, thinking this was going to be the most euphoric moment you could possibly imagine. Like God had come by and surprised us, somebody cared about us, whatever you wanted to frame it. And my father came to the front door begrudgingly, and when he saw the man, he got very angry. And he said, we don't take charity, and he went to slam the door. And the man was a very tall guy, and he put his arm or shoulder against it, it kind of bounced off of him. And he said, sir, this is not charity. Everybody has tough times. And somebody knows you're in need, and they want you to have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Please accept this gift. And my father got even more intense and started saying, I don't accept charity. And this time the man put his foot there, and it bounced off of it. And then he said something to my father that I thought my father would hit him. He looked at my father and said, he looked at me in the background and said, don't let your family suffer because of your ego. It was intense words to say. My father didn't know what to do. He grabbed the food, he slammed it down and slammed the door. And I tell you the story because everything in our life is controlled by 3 decisions. And those 3 decisions I'd like you to look at today because I really want to deliver for you. I didn't come here to do a speech. I love Mark dearly. I really want to serve you, and you all are giving the greatest gift you have, your time. You can get your money back, but you can't get your time back. And so I really want to serve you. And I think one of the most powerful things we could do to serve you is have you become clear of what the controlling force is that's controlling the quality of your life. And you and I both know it's not the amount of money in your pocket. It's not who you know. It's not even what you've been through. It's really the decisions you make moment to moment about a couple of different things. And the 3 decisions I made in that moment that I'd like to pull your attention to just real quick are, in this moment you're making these 3 decisions, by the way. The first one is, what are you going to focus on? In that day, my father focused clearly on the fact that he had not taken care of his family. And whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. In fact, many of us in this room, who's ever focused on something, you were thinking something horrible was going to happen, you experienced the pain of that failure or that challenge in your life, and then it never ever happened. Who's had this experience? Say, I. And if things aren't bad in your life, you can always think of shit that hasn't even happened yet and feel bad in advance. But many people do. Because whatever you focus on, you'll feel. Write it down. Focus equals feeling, because if you start to take control of your focus, you take control of your life. But that day he focused on the fact that clearly he had failed his family, and that was the meaning. The second decision you make is, what does it mean? As soon as you look at something, think about something, focus on it, you gotta decide, what does this mean? Is this the beginning or the end? Is this punishment and reward? Is God trying to hurt me or trying to challenge me? Or is this nothing to do with God? I was just being a lazy bastard. Right? The meanings we give to things control our life. If you think it's the end of a relationship, are you going to behave the same way as you think it's the beginning of a relationship? In the beginning of a relationship, when you're totally in love with someone, what will you do for them? Tell me, what will you do? Oh, come on, guys. What will you do when you're totally in love? Shout out, what will you do? What? What? Make the sound of what it's like when you're totally in love, out of your mind. Just go ahead and make that sound like a primal sound of what that feels like. Just go for it so we get some energy in this room. It's been a long time for some of you, I can see really clearly. Let's try this time. How about totally love and passionately desiring this person? Like you can't wait to touch them, make love to them, be with them. Make the sound of what that would be like. Go ahead, nice and loud, go ahead.